What if two of humanity's greatest minds, separated by 25 centuries, could sit down and talk? Imagine, at a simple wooden table, a man with wild gray hair, his eyes sparkling with infinite curiosity. This is Albert Einstein, the physicist who reshaped our understanding of space, time, and the cosmos. Across from him sits a man in saffron robes, his presence calm, his face radiant with serene wisdom. This is the Buddha, the enlightened one who understood the true nature of the human mind. One looked outward at the universe. The other looked inward at the mind. Yet, both were searching for the same thing. Truth. What would they discuss? This is a journey into the incredible parallels between Einstein's physics and the Buddha's philosophy, a meeting of minds that reveals a deeper, more unified reality than we ever imagined. Our story begins with a shared spark of curiosity. As a child, Einstein was mesmerized by a simple compass, wondering about the invisible force that always pointed the needle north. He knew there had to be a hidden order to the universe. 2.5 millennia earlier, a young prince named Siddhartha, despite living in luxury, was deeply troubled by the suffering he saw outside his palace walls. Old age, sickness, and death. He asked, "Why must we suffer, and is there a way to be free?" Both men became challengers of the established truths of their time. Einstein questioned Newton's idea of a clockwork universe, where time and space were absolute and unchanging. The Buddha challenged the prevailing belief in a permanent, unchanging soul, or Atman. One would use the language of mathematics and thought experiments. The other, the practice of meditation and deep inquiry. Though their methods were different, their discoveries would echo each other in astonishing ways. Einstein often spoke of what he called a cosmic religion. This wasn't a religion of prayer to a personal God who rewards and punishes. Instead, it was a profound sense of awe for the beautiful, intelligent order hidden in every corner of the universe, from the spiral of a galaxy to the structure of a single atom. And this led him to a remarkable statement. If there is any religion that could cope with modern scientific needs, it would be Buddhism. Why did he think so? Because Buddhism doesn't speak of a creator God. It speaks of natural laws. The law of karma, for instance, is a law of cause and effect. Every action brings a result, not by the decree of a deity, but as a natural consequence. So, did Einstein believe in God? He did not believe in a personal God who answers prayers. Instead, he believed in Spinoza's God, which is simply nature itself, the rational, harmonious order that reveals itself through the laws of the universe. This aligns perfectly with Buddhism, which places no emphasis on creator, but focuses instead on using one's own wisdom to understand these natural laws and thereby end one's own suffering. For both, the ultimate goal wasn't prayer, it was understanding. Einstein's theory of relativity was a revolution. It told us that time is not a rigid river flowing at the same pace for everyone. Time is flexible. It can stretch and shrink. The faster you move, or the closer you are to a massive object like a star, the slower time passes for you. Space and time are not separate things. They are woven together into a single fabric, Spacetime. And this fabric is not a fixed backdrop. It is a dynamic stage that bends and curves in the presence of matter and energy. Nothing is static. Everything is relative. Amazingly, 2,500 years earlier, the Buddha taught a strikingly similar principle. He called it Anicca, or Impermanence. He declared that everything in existence, from the mountains and the stars to our very own thoughts and bodies, is in a constant state of flux. Nothing stays the same, even for a moment, just as Einstein showed that space-time is a flexible, ever-changing stage. The Buddha taught that reality itself is an unending, dynamic process. Both were telling us the same thing. The universe is not made of things, it's made of events. In the 20th century, physics took an even stranger turn. When scientists peered into the heart of matter, they found nothing solid. At the quantum level, reality becomes a dance of probability. An electron isn't a tiny, solid ball. It's more like a cloud of potential, existing in many states at once, only becoming real when we observe it. Objects we perceive as solid, like a table, are actually 99.9% empty space, a whirlwind of vibrating energy fields. Einstein's famous equation, E equals mc squared, revealed the ultimate secret. Matter and energy are two sides of the same coin. Matter, the very stuff we think of as solid and permanent, is just a temporary, condensed form of energy. This discovery is a perfect mirror of the Buddha's core teachings of Anatta, no self, and Sunyata, emptiness. The Buddha taught that what we call ourself is not a solid, permanent entity. It is a flowing process, a combination of 5 changing elements: our body, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, and consciousness. There is no fixed me at the center of it all, just as there is no solid thing at the center of an atom. And the concept of sunyata, or emptiness, doesn't mean a void of nothingness. It means that everything is empty of a separate, independent, permanent existence. It is full of potential, a dynamic field from which all things arise and pass away. Just like the quantum vacuum, a void that is actually teeming with energy and fleeting particles. The Buddha described reality with a principle called Paticcasamuppada, or dependent origination. The teaching is simple but profound. When this is, that is, from the arising of this, comes the arising of that. When this is not, that is not. From the ceasing of this, comes the ceasing of that. In other words, nothing exists on its own. Everything is connected. Everything arises in relationship to everything else, like a vast, intricate web. Modern physics has discovered a startlingly similar phenomenon. It's called quantum entanglement. 2 particles can become linked in such a way that they behave as one, no matter how far apart they are. If you measure property of one particle, you instantly influence the other, even if it's on the opposite side of the galaxy. Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance. It shows that on a fundamental level, the universe is not a collection of separate objects, but a deeply interconnected whole, a seamless, undivided web of relationships, just as the Buddha described. Perhaps the most mind-bending parallel lies in their view of time. For Einstein, the distinction we make between the past, the present, and the future was, in his words, a stubbornly persistent illusion. His theory suggests a block universe, where all time, every moment from the Big Bang to the end of the universe, exists simultaneously, just like all the places on a map exist at once. We, living inside this block, experience it moment by moment, creating the illusion of a flowing river of time. From a perspective of light itself, time stops entirely. A photon traveling for billions of years across the cosmos experiences its entire journey in a single, timeless instant. This resonates deeply with the Buddhist view. The Buddha taught that time is a mental construct. The past is only a memory, and the future is only a projection. The only thing that is ever truly real, is the present moment. The ultimate reality, nirvana, is described as ekaliko, timeless, beyond the confines of past, present, and future. Both Einstein's physics and the Buddha's insights point to the same radical idea. Our everyday experience of time may be the greatest illusion of all. For both of these great minds, knowledge was not the final destination. It was a path to something greater, wisdom and moral responsibility. Einstein was deeply aware of the ethical implications of science, especially after his work contributed to the atomic bomb. He spent his later years advocating for peace and warning against the dangers of nationalism and conflict. He understood that a purely intellectual grasp of the universe was not enough. He wrote that our feeling of being separate from one another is an optical delusion of consciousness, a prison that limits our love to only a few people near us. Our task, he said, must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. This statement could have been spoken by the Buddha himself. The core of Buddhist practice is the development of metta, loving kindness, and karuna, compassion for the suffering of all beings. The ultimate goal of understanding that we are all interconnected, Anatta and Paticcasamuppada, is to dissolve the illusion of self and naturally develop a boundless compassion for all of life. So, what have we learned from this imagined conversation? Einstein, the scientist, looked outward with his telescope and equations, discovering a universe where reality is relative, interconnected, and nothing is as solid as it seems. The Buddha, the sage, looked inward with his focused mind, discovering an inner world where experience is impermanent. The self is an illusion, and everything is dependently connected. They took different paths, used different languages, and had different goals. One sought to understand the cosmos, the other to end suffering. But in the end, it seems they arrived at the summit of the same mountain, just from different sides. They both found that the truth of reality is far more subtle, more interconnected, and more wondrous than our everyday senses tell us. Perhaps the greatest lesson is that science and spirituality are not enemies. They are two complementary ways of exploring the great mystery of existence. Science gives us knowledge of the outer world. Wisdom traditions give us understanding of the inner world. To be whole, perhaps we need both. We need the mind of a scientist and the heart of a sage. The universe, both inside and out, never runs out of things to teach us. We just have to be willing to look. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more explorations into the universe around us and within us. Thank you